I can't believe it. James O'Keefe of Project Veritas suspended on Twitter for demanding a retraction from a journalist who posted false information. Oh heavens, who could have ever seen this coming? Except literally everyone saw it coming, because it's not the first time Veritas has been censored. I've been censored for talking about Project Veritas. They might even delete this video because I'm bringing it up. You see, it was a couple days ago. It was the day of the Iowa caucus, the 3rd, when James O'Keefe published a video exposing an Elizabeth Warren staffer who was saying she's too focused on these woke issues and regular Americans don't care about it. Well, for some reason, Twitter went back to January 22nd to a tweet where James requested a retraction from Dave Weigel, I believe still of the Washington Post. And they said apparently it was, we'll see what they claimed it was. I think it was harassment or like private information. It was journalism. I find it really interesting that no one in the media world cares, for the most part, when James O'Keefe's rights to publish news as a journalist are threatened. And it's for obvious reasons. They don't like the fact that he makes their ideology and their political tribe look bad. You see, when these other journalists, like I think it was Channel 4 in the UK, did an undercover sting. Oh, everybody loved it. When the alt-right was exposed in an undercover sting, well, the media loved it. When James O'Keefe filmed Bernie Sanders staffers talking about gulags for conservatives, well, all of a sudden but this is illegal. He's invading privacy, or it's out of context, but he's editing it. Ah, yes, that's right. The media isn't biased, they say. Let me tell you something. We're going to read about James O'Keefe. He should not have been suspended, and I'll show you the tweet. It's absurd. But you see, I did a video about James O'Keefe months ago. It was the Pinterest story. I think it was last year. YouTube deleted the video outright. They did. It was just gone from my channel. I didn't even notice. A few days later, people started messaging me saying, why is this video about Veritas gone? I looked, and there it was. It was completely removed. It was weird. I'd never seen anything like it. I didn't get a notification. Eventually, I found something buried in the social tab of my email. And when I reached out to Google and said, yo, bring my video back, they said no. And they gave me a BS reason that, oh, but you published someone's name or something. I said, I didn't. It's on a publicly available website. I'm commenting on a news story going viral. Too bad. Well, guess what happened on the day of the Iowa caucus when I published a video about Project Veritas with commentary? Something strange happened around 4 p.m. You see, 99.9% of my political commentary videos are monetized and confirmed. There's something called self-certification. All of the videos on my main channel, they're typically me talking about the political process. What are the poll numbers? What did the Democrats do this time? What's going on with impeachment? And so I saw a story about a Warren staffer criticizing her for getting too woke and ignoring kitchen table issues, and I commented on it. I got a notification that at the very last minute, when the video was to go live around 4, that the video contained sensitive issues dealing with war and terror. Well, that's certainly not true. But you know what happens when they give you that notification? The video gets suppressed. Viewership was down by around 50% of the average. And I thought to myself, you know, this has happened before. I've done videos about Antifa, which surprisingly, they suppress. So I learned my lesson. When they demonetize a video and tell me things like that, I have no choice but to move it. And I've talked about it in the past. And that's what this channel is for. So a lot of these videos get suppressed. A lot of them, you know, you won't see. You won't get notifications either. My main channel, though, I do 1 video per day. So I try to make sure it's basically the biggest culturally relevant story. And right now, that's typically politics. So when I did a video about a Democratic headquarter in Antifa and they suppressed it, I was like, whoa. And I didn't realize. So I went in, I blurred a bunch of stuff, and they restored it. So sure, whatever. Well, sure enough, I sent a request to Google and I said, this is a false flag, like a false flagging of the video. There's no war or terror in this. I'm talking about Elizabeth Warren. My video got suppressed. James O'Keefe got suspended from Twitter. Weird, right? Well, something happened around 2 a.m. They restored the video. That's right. They restored the video. The primary was over. And then I got an email saying, sorry about that. It's been fixed. And then I saw in my analytics, some of the views started to come back because the suppression was removed. But guess what? From the time period of publication to 2 a.m., views were suppressed by over, I would say around 50%. And by the time they restored it, it never recovered. In fact, you can go to my channel, you can look at the Warren video and compare the views on it to the views of the past several videos. And you can look at the past videos I've done on the Project Veritas exposés. And I think it's fair to say, based on me actually having to email Google and be like, please remove the suppression, and the fact that the video did start getting more views. It got around 200,000. The other videos the day before, 300. The other Veritas videos, 300, 350, 400. But this one was knocked down. I think it's, look, I don't think it's a conspiracy. What I think it is are people who work at these social media companies who love Elizabeth Warren. So when Project Veritas started doing this expose, they dug back to an old tweet from the 22nd, and they got him shut down. And when they saw my video, the people working in California who manually flag videos, maybe it was an accident, maybe it was bias. I don't think so. I don't think it was an accident. Again, not a conspiracy, but a biased person being like, this is too sensitive for you, suppress. And that's probably what happened. And that's why when I escalated it, they said sorry about that and removed it. I can't imagine it was an accident that 99.9% of my videos are always monetized. In fact, dare I say in the past 3 months, 100% monetized. I think it's strange that the one time they suppress it, it's around the same time, the Iowa caucus, when James O'Keefe gets suspended too. Let's read a little bit of the story. They say, Twitter has suddenly locked Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe out of his account after he tweeted at a reporter from the Washington Post and successfully requested a retraction. Ryan Saavedra tweeted, Twitter suspends Project Veritas founder. Yeah, we get it. So here's the image from James O'Keefe. It says, your account has been locked for violating the posting of private information. Twitter has determined that as a journalist, you have no right to post certain things because the information James O'Keefe got wasn't secret information. It's publicly available, but we see how they behave. If it, in this instance, in the past, you've had actual Democratic candidates outright threaten to dox people. Look at the Covington case. None of those people got suspended or banned. It was all A-OK, huh? And we talked about this with Jack Dorsey, but they didn't seem to care. I mean, they did. That's unfair. But I would say they seemed to care. That's the right way to put it. They seemed to care, but in my opinion, likely did not. They say, oh, well, you don't understand. No, I'm sorry, man. Listen. He said retraction request. Dave Weigel of the Washington Post, the subjects featured in Exposed 2020 are not Sanders volunteers. Both Kyle Jurek and Martin Weisserberger are still paid employees of the Bernie Sanders campaign. Kindly retract another factually inaccurate bit of reporting. 22nd. And they finally came after him now. I'm sure they were, people were flagging James O'Keefe. I'm sure they flag almost every tweet he puts out. They claim that his videos are literally illegal. Why now? I don't know. I can't honestly say. They say he has to remove the tweets that violate our rules. Twitter claims O'Keefe violated its rules around posting private information after he responded to a tweet from Dave Weigel, a reporter at the Washington Post, that accused Project Veritas of putting moles in the campaign to find that Sanders volunteers talk IRL like they do on Twitter. Weigel was referring to undercover videos from Project Veritas, which exposed Sanders campaign staffers Kyle Jurek and Martin Weisgerber, that's his name, calling for violence. O'Keefe tweeted back at Weigel, the subjects featured were not volunteers. They're still paid employees. My understanding, they still are. Weigel then deleted this tweet minutes later. And there you have it. James was right. It appears that Twitter suspended O'Keefe for posting either the names or the pay stub, despite both individuals being newsworthy subjects and the pay stub being publicly available on the FEC website. O'Keefe will now be unable to tweet from his account until the suspension is lifted. O'Keefe slammed the suspension and said, they don't suspend Dave Weigel's account. They suspend us for correcting the erroneous information that Weigel tweeted. Surprise, surprise. Like who's shocked by this? I mean, I think it's really, really bad. You don't have to, the biggest problem I have with these journalist activists is that when they approach news, the first question is not, is it true? The first question is, does it help or hurt my ideology? So when I look at James O'Keefe, the last thing I consider, or I should say down the list of things of considerations, is his personal bias. It plays a role in my assessment of his work. The first thing I consider is it true? Well, guess what? Veritas publishes videos and you see their mouths and lips moving. Okay. My understanding is that James has numerous retractions from tons of people who have lied about the work he does. If I see a video clip and someone says ABC 123, is it possible it's out of context? It is. In this circumstance, I tend not to think that's the case. So those are the considerations down the line. First, there's a video of it, there's text, and I'll do that for anyone left or right. When I read a story, it's the same way. These other journalists who work at the Washington Post and these other companies, the first thing they do is they say, but is James O'Keefe conservative? Or they say he's conservative. They don't consider the actual information presented until after they question his bias, which is why they always say things like a right-wing journalist instead of a journalist. They consider his political orientation as a conservative first and not him as a journalist. I don't do that. Now, you'll often see that I will do videos where I say a left-wing journalist, and that's kind of the point, right? We're entering a world now where those are the considerations that are being presented. And so basically everyone now as a journalist is defined by their political ideology. I don't know what people would call me because I think it's funny that conservatives call me a liberal and liberals call me a conservative because maybe I'm just in the middle. But, it doesn't seem to work for most people. Anyway, let's read. They say, during the caucuses, another popular Twitter account, Comfortably Smug, was temporarily suspended after tweeting out "Where's Hunter, fat?" a reference to 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden calling a voter fat. And days before the caucuses, the Twitter account of Zero Hedge was suddenly hit with a permanent ban after BuzzFeed claimed it had doxed someone by sharing publicly available information. I said it last year. If you thought it was bad in the past few years, just wait until 2020. And as we get closer to November, it's gonna light up, baby. I hope you are strapped in and ready for that roller coaster when all of your favorite accounts go belly up and get purged from the internet because it has begun. The Iowa caucus is here. My video got suppressed for dubious reasons. James O'Keefe is suspended for completely BS reasons. Other accounts have been suspended for nonsensical reasons, but they all tend to flow in one direction. Are we seeing progressive Bernie supporters getting suspended? I mean, it happens sometimes, but not really. Are we seeing establishment, corporate, moderate, whatever you want to call them, Democrats getting suspended? Of course not. Even after Covington, they didn't get suspended. And yet Jack Dorsey and Vijaya Gadde had the gall to look me in the eye and say, it's just not true, Tim. I think it's funny because it's kind of like someone lying to you over and over and over again and them expecting you to be stupid enough to be like, it's just 1,500 mistakes. Every single time it happens, it's just a mistake. At a certain point, come on, man. Like, we get it. James O'Keefe has had YouTube videos deleted. I think I might have the story from Breitbart. YouTube censors Project Veritas video exposing anti-Christian bias at Pinterest. They deleted my video too. And in my video, I actually pointed out that James O'Keefe was biased. You know why? In his list, when he exposed Pinterest as banning live action, above it was anti-media. Now, I'm not saying his bias was a net negative on the story. His story was correct. They were absolutely censoring live action. I noticed anti-media because I know what it is. It's a left-wing anti-war website. And I know a lot of these left-wing anti-war personalities, they're very anti-democratic establishment too. And so we kind of get along on certain issues. And that was an example of bias. The first thing I considered, is James' story true? And I checked it out and it seemed to be he had the evidence. And then after, a few steps down, when I looked into his bias, I noticed here's something he missed. And I think he should have included it. I think he absolutely should have. But the framing from his perspective, in my opinion, is still true. And it wasn't in any way taking anything out of context. He was focusing on one issue. So that's where bias comes in. But anyway, you should consider that for all media. Is there more to the story, right? The point is, I've been censored. He's been censored. Several people have been banned and suspended. Now, Facebook says they're going to support free expression. We'll see. Will they reinstate people like Laura Loomer and Alex Jones and, Paul Joseph Watson? I doubt it. And Milo Yiannopoulos, I doubt it. I don't think so. I think they're now, having purged the people they need to purge, now they go, oh, well, now we're going to change our tune. But after the damage has already been done, right? So I guess we'll see what happens as the time goes on. But I think we're going to be heading down the fastest and most fun roller coaster you've ever been on. So hedge your bets, plan for the future, because you might not exist on social media. Again, If you thought it was bad when they were banning people in the past few years, wait till your small Twitter account with 20 followers posts that you like President Trump and they call you a Russian bot and delete you. Because I've talked to so many people who have had that happen. I have talked to endless people at parties and events that say I had something like 17 followers and they banned me. And the thing is, James O'Keefe is a big fish. He's got a ton of followers. When they suspend him, we see it. We know about it. But think about how many small channels, how many small accounts, smaller, individuals on social media are banned every day, every minute, and you just don't know. If you see the big fish going down, rest assured, they're taking down substantially more smaller fish, the grassroots efforts. And that's why, in my opinion, when you go on Reddit, what do you see? The front page is dominated by left-wing talking points that often make very little sense or are omitting tons of information. You go to r/politics, which has 5 million, subscribers to the Reddit channel, and they post activist websites. And then you go to the Donald, and they're quarantined because they accuse them of threatening police. Tell me that doesn't sound insane. When you hear that conservative Trump supporters were threatening police, so they decided to quarantine the Reddit channel. Yeah, that sounds like something you made up, because those are the people who wave the Blue Lives Matter flags. So yeah, baby, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Maybe we'll all end up sitting in our basements with no social media access and all the influencers are gone and all that's left is Buttigieg, because apparently they're cheating to win. We'll see what happens. Stick around. The next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel. And boy, is this one gonna be a doozy. Chaos. After the State of the Union, the impeachment trial is coming. I hope you're ready for this wild ride that is 2020. I will see you all in the next segment. Thanks for hanging out.